Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Well, hello, Evan. Today's guest is Larry Johnson, retired chairman of the board of directors and CEO of Bank of Hawaii. He also serves as a director of the Honolulu Star Bulletin, Trex Enterprises, Inc., and an active on several advisory boards. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, Larry Johnson. Welcome to our show, Larry.
Oh, thank you, Carrie. Evan, very nice to be here.
So you got introduced to the banking industry in high school.
It was high school, yes. It was 1958, and I've been working construction jobs for 2 or 3 summers, and all of a sudden one afternoon somebody from the bank pulled up and said that they wanted to talk with me regarding the possibility of a summer job, and I was really quite surprised. There were 4 others that they also talked with, and all 5 of us at that time weren't great scholars. We were all pretty good athletes, but we were quite happy to have that offer because it meant that we could work in air conditioning for the summer and see where things took us. So it was I guess that was the start of the career.
What year was that?
That was in 1958, and that's when I graduated from high school.
Okay.
And
then there's kind of a funny twist to the story.
Well, there is kind of a funny twist because again, we all looked at each other saying, "Why us?" As I said earlier, we were not great students by any means. We had a good time and we played a lot of sports, and we said that doesn't really mix with banking. But we got there the first day, and they wanted us to go down to Straub Clinic to take a physical, which we did, and we passed that with flying colors. And we came back and we were introduced to a guy named Charlie Fernandez, and Charlie also was known as Charlie Fat Fernandez, and he was a great baseball coach for many years at St. Louis. And he looked at us and he says, I don't know if you young men have any interest in playing in our softball league this summer, but we do have one. And we all looked at each other saying, wow, that is the reason why we were hired. And sure enough, we went into the back room and there were 5 uniforms all stacked up, perfect sizes. And back in those days, this financial league that we were asked to play in was really quite competitive. We used to have probably 50 to 100 Bank of Hawaii people come out and watch the game. They were all played at night and some on Saturday mornings. And there were other teams and the other financial organizations, and A&B and Castle and Cook and AmFac and all the rest of them were part of this league.
How did you guys' team do?
Well, we won, of course. It was the 5 young guys against all these old men, and in fact, it was so bad that there was a petition taken among the other teams in the league saying that you had to be a full-time employee from now on if you wanted to play in the financial league. And, of course, we thought that was the end of our job because they were accusing the Bank of Hawaii of going out and hiring ringers. And I guess probably the bank was, but they wouldn't admit to it. So after the first year, knowing that we couldn't come back and play on the softball team, we thought that was the end of the job. But sure enough, the next summer, I guess in order to save face, they thought they'd better ask us back again just to show everybody that we really weren't out there to play softball. So we did. We came back again for the second summer.
So for the first summer, you weren't actually working in the bank. You were just part of kind of like their team and then playing softball?
No, we were actually employees. We were summertime employees, and in fact, they called us summer trainees. And it was the first time that the Bank of Hawaii had ever gone out and hired summer trainees. And so we started off that first summer. I worked in the vault counting cash for 2 weeks, and I worked in the mailroom for 2 weeks, and worked somewhere else, for savings department, I think, for a couple of weeks. And the rest of the summer, I was a teller out at Waikiki branch.
And at that time, did you think that you'd be in the banking industry in the future, your future?
No, that was the farthest thing from my mind. Banking back in those days was kind of boring, and it attracted boring people, and I wasn't going to be a banker for sure.
So you were counting money, which was fun, but at the same time, you were looking forward to those softball games.
That's all we thought about. That's all we talked about.
So what were you planning on doing later on after your athletic career and in college and so on, if it wasn't going to be banking?
Back in when you're in your late teens and early 20s, you don't really think much about what's ahead. What's on your mind is, well, where's the next party and what time does it start and how do I get out of college? But after a couple of years of college, you start to think about what your future is. And I had come back and had worked each summer after school. And when I finished, actually I worked went to Bradley University in Illinois, played baseball there. And after 3 years, I got married to a girl that I knew in high school. And she had finished her schooling. And so I decided that I would finish up here at the University of Hawaii. So I worked part-time, went to school 2 days a week, and worked at the bank 3 days a week, and so worked my way through college here.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.